Hello, hi friends. In this video, I am going to discuss about the loops in Java. Loops are the fundamental concepts in any programming. In order to understand what loops are, we have to look at some real life cases of loops. Consider your daily routine. You wake up, you brush, and you wear your clothes, and then head off to your work and come back and eat and then sleep off. Again, the next day also, you do the same things in the same order and go to sleep again. This cycle keeps on repeating. This concept of repetitive actions performed time and again is called a loop. In this video also we will learn about the loops in Java. Imagine why is the importance of loops in Java. Imagine a program which is required to output a particular value of variable 800 times. Now we all know that by writing output in as system.out.println, we can write 800 lines of code in order to print 800 times of that variable. But in order to print this 800 times, we will need to write the same line 800 times in the code. This would take a lot of effort and also the time consuming manner. So by using loops, we can easily make these actions in a single statement in order to make 800 times as a single line by using loops. That's the importance and the power of loops. We will learn each and every loop in this video. Basically, if you see this image, which is I mentioned in this slide, there are mainly three types of loops. First one is for loop, and the second one is while loop, and the third one is do while loop. These three loops plays an important role in order to make the repetitive actions. So that's why we have to learn each and every loop in detail. The first one is for loop. The Java for loop is used to iterate a part of the program several times if the number of iterations is fixed. Mainly, if we when we use Java for loop means if the iterations is known to you, means if you want to iterate any, for example, you know the iterations. Iterations means the repetitions. So, for example, you have to print up to 100, 1 to 10, 1 to 100 numbers in a sequential manner. Then you know the iterations fixed because 100 times you have to print that one. So that's why we know the n value means the iterations is fixed. Whenever you know the how many number of times we have to iterate that loop, then that time we have to use for loop. If the iterations is known before writing the program, then we can use for loop. Java while loop is used to iterate the part of the program several times. If the number of iterations is not fixed, it is recommended to use while loop. It is different from for loop because here the iterations known, here the iterations not fixed because in for loop the iterations is fixed before writing a program. In while loop we don't know about the how many iterations will take place. On the time we will use while loop. Then the other one is do while loop. In do while loop is used to iterate a part of the program several times, but it is if the number of iterations is not fixed and you must have to execute the loop at least once. It is similar to while loop. The same thing is similar. That is, if we don't know, if the iterations is not fixed, then we use while loop. If the iteration is not also fixed, we can use while do while loop. But the advantage of do while rather than while is in do while it doesn't check the condition, and also at first iteration it doesn't check the condition. If you want to make if you want to execute the loop at least once rather than checking condition, then the time do while loop will be helpful. In the each and every loop I will explain in detail in further slides. Okay, let me explain a for loop first. Okay, here you can see the for loop. It is the flow chart. Flow chart means in order to know how the flow of the program will execute, first we will initialize the expression or whatever it may be. Then we test the condition. If the condition is true, then it will goes to the for loop body. If the condition is fails or false, then it goes to the loop will be terminates. If the condition is true and it enters to the for loop body, then it has to update its expression. Again, it tests the condition. Simultaneously, it will works until if the condition is false. If the condition is false, then it will terminate the loop. If the condition is true and it will enter into the body and again it updates its expression until it checks the while the condition is false. In this manner, the for loop will work. We will see the syntax of for loop. As we see the far off initialization. Initialization means this one. First we have to initialize our expression. Then condition will check. Then here will condition will check. If the condition is true, then it will enter to the loop body. If it is false, then it will enter to the terminates. Yeah, here I am checking condition, and if this is the syntax to know about. Here Java program to demonstrate the example of for loop. For example, here I am taking the class name as for example. This is the main method for int I is equal to 1. Here I am initializing the I is equal to 1. I is less than or equal to 10. I am checking the condition. If I is less than or equal to 10, then it will enter into the body. After executing this statement, then again it will goes to the here increment or decrement operations will takes place. For example, I will explain with the help of flowchart. Here you can see I is equal to 1 and check condition is I is less than or equal to 10. Okay. Here I am initializing my expression as I is equal to 1. Then here I am checking I is less than or equal to 10 means 1 is less than or equal to 10. Yeah, it will be less than or equal to 10. Then you will enter into the body. In body, we have to print 1 because it is true. We are printing 1. Then again it goes to the update expression. Here we are updating the expression means this is this one. I plus plus. We are incrementing the expression. Then after updating the expression I is equal to 1, I plus plus means it will be 2. Then again we will check the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 10 or not. If it is true, then it will enter into body. Until it will check 11. Yeah, it is less than or equal to 10 means it check until 11. For example, if I is equal to 11, I will see if I is equal to 11, it will check 11 is less than or equal to 10, then it is false. So it will automatically terminates the program rather going into the for loop body. So in this manner, the for loop will works. In this slide, I am going to explain about for each loop. The for each loop was introduced in Java 5. We also call it as enhanced for loop. So there is slight difference between simple loop and for each loop. We will notice that difference in this slide. It is an alternate traversing technique, especially introduced to traverse the arrays or collections. And also, the name for each signifies that each element of an array or a collection is traversed one after another. And also it is easier to use than simple for loop because we don't need to increment value and also use substitution. It works on the basis of elements. Mainly it works on the basis of elements and not in the index. It returns element one by one in the defined variable. We will see in depth about for each loop because it is an important to know about the for each loop. Also, there are many loops. For example, we can use the for loop as a nested for loop. Nested for loop means loop within another loop. It is known as for loop, and also there are so many kinds of loops we can use as a infinite loop. For example, infinite loop means we don't specify anything inside the for for of condition. Then it will execute infinitely until we will enter control plus C. It will execute infinitely until we can terminate the program. If I explain all those things, the video will be too long. So we will learn about for each loop now. Okay. Here you can see that Here the data type is here. This is the syntax for this variable for each loop. Here the int is the data type and the variable is name is I and array name is ARR array. This is the array. First, I am discussing this is the class name and this is the main method. We know that I am here declaring an array. The array contains some of the elements. Printing array using for each loop. Here I am using for each loop. There is no any initialization or condition checking or increment decrement is not there. Simply we are taking one variable and assigning the each elements to that array. For example, I will take the ink and will explain in order to get it neatly. Okay. Yeah. For example, here int I is there. First I is equal to I value is reference to 12. Then it will print 12. ARR is the array, so that's why it references to the first element. Then it will references to the 23. Then it print 23. Then it will references to the 44. In this manner, it will continuously execute until the last element in the loop. So we can traverse each and every element and print all those elements in an array. In this in this manner, the for each loop works. For each iteration, the for each loop takes each element of the collection and stores it in a loop variable. Thus, it executes the code written in the body of the loop for each element of the array or a collection. Here, the for each loop traverses over each elements of the array numbers one by one until the end. Therefore, there is no need to access the array elements using indexes. Additionally, we can also use for each loop to traverse through a map or set anything. Hence, we must check if the array's collection is null before passing into for each loop. These are all the somewhat advanced topics. As it is a beginner tutorial, we need this minimum concepts. So let me go to next slide. Okay, now I am concluding this topic, and we will see in next video about the while loop and do while loop and the break statement and the continue statement. As this video is too long, so that's why I am concluding this video. In next video, we will see about the do while loop. As of now, we will discuss about what is the looping statements and how it executes, and also for loop for each loop we will discuss. In next video, we will discuss. Okay, bye.